and choose from things like home runs, total bases, and so much more. And once that entry feels good, you can play with as little as $1, and if you get everything right, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Maybe it's time for Vinny Pasquantino to start heating up, and you love the over on his total bases this weekend. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code BOB to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit with promo code BOB. Must be 18 and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See UnderdogFantasy.com/web/deposit-match-terms. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. When we're young, we take things for granted, like getting out of bed or even walking downstairs. But as we age, our knees and back and hips may start to prevent us from doing those normal everyday activities. And in the back of our minds, we're thinking, hey, this pain's going to go away. But nothing changes. It's time to call and schedule that free consultation with the medical pros at QC Kinetics. There are thousands of patients who will tell you they wish they would have done it sooner. They turned around their lives with QC Kinetics regenerative treatments that work with your body to help restore and repair that damaged joint tissue. Natural cellular therapies. No scalpels, no pills, just long-term relief with no dreaded recovery. So bring your x-rays and MRIs to QC Kinetics for a free no-pressure chat and through evaluation to see if you're a good candidate. Grab the phone right now and give them a call. Appointments available on Saturday, 816-412-6299. 816-412-6299. That's 816-412-6299. Off 435 in State Line and in Gladstone.
Attention, small business owners. Do you need funding for your business? At LendSeek.com, we provide revenue-based working capital programs from $20,000 to $1 million. So whether it's funding for inventory, equipment, expansion, payroll, or other needs, seek no more. All it takes is just one simple application to access over 100 funding products that are powered through our breakthrough AI-enabled lending platform to get you the best options in today's marketplace. If you've been in business for at least 1 year with monthly revenue of at least $50,000, you could receive the business funding you need when it matters most, regardless of your personal credit score. Funds in your account in just 24 hours with no collateral, no prepayment penalties, and no restrictions on how you use the funds. There's no obligation and zero out-of-pocket costs. So apply for the business funding you need today at LendSeek.com. That's LendSeek.com.
Keep it moving and grooving on a Sunday morning. Good morning to y'all. 96.5 The Fan. Fantasy Football Sunday live until 10 o'clock. We're back, baby. Football is back. The Chiefs are back. Hopefully you watch them or listen to them right here on 96.5 The Fan, the only place to listen to the Kansas City Chiefs. Played the Arizona Cardinals. I believe lost. I don't remember. 2017, I think, was the final score, if I remember correctly. Doesn't super matter yet, so that's okay. That's great. I watched the first half pretty intently. Second half was kind of in and out here and there, but just kind of watching some of the stuff. Josh Briscoe killed it on the pregame and postgame show. His debut being the pregame and postgame show for the Chiefs, for the host for the Chiefs. So good to hear him. He is the man. So love hearing that every week. Right here on 96.5 The Fan. And, of course, every week now on 96.5 The Fan will be this show, Fantasy Football Sundays, live with you. So be a part of it, 913-586-7965. We are live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. We're here live, bringing all the action to you as well as on the airwaves. So no excuses not to be here, not to listen. We're going to get into some wide receiver ADPs. We just went through some draft strategies, which the whole thing will be podcasted if you missed that. I know the audio was a little screwed up. Thank you to the text line, the 913 and the 816. Couple people. I like Lil Big Mac, by the way, 913. That's a good nickname. Lil Big Mac is great. We're going to get into wide receiver ADPs. I've got on Fantasy Pros just the top 10 wide receivers as far as average draft projection. Number one being Jamar Chase. I think that's pretty consensus, and I'm okay with that. Now, it's if you want to use your first overall pick on that, is he going to be as good as last year? That's the question. No, is the answer. I will answer that very defiantly. No, he will not be a Triple Crown wide receiver could be, offensive player of the year. Should have probably been offensive player of the year. Depends on, Saquon, I don't know if he should have been. Saquon was it. It makes sense. It was an insane year last year, both with running back and wide receiver, where we had 2 historic seasons in the same year. If you went back through all of NFL history and looked at historic individual player seasons, a lot of them do not happen in the same year. So last year we should not take for granted as far as just how cool that was, but also transitioning to the way we think about fantasy, that's not going to happen again, okay? Which is fine. It's great. It's going to be a little more normal, a little more regulated, but Jamar Chase could still easily lead the league in wide receiving yards. He's the best yak option in the league right now. Once Rashee Rice is back, maybe he'll have something to say about that. I'm probably still not Jamar Chase level, but maybe number 2 or number 3 in the league, right? We got to hope, and we'll talk about Rice later and his value as well. But yeah, Jamar Chase, he's number 1 across the board, and I think he should be. He's earned that. And if you watched any of that first preseason game, and I know, again, you can either emphasize your already kind of thoughts, or it can say, I'm not going to care about that with the preseason, right? You can decide which way you're going to go as far as what happens in the preseason. With Jamar Chase, if you're a Jamar Chase guy, you should be watching that preseason and go, he's back. He's going to be this again. He looked incredible. Joe Burrow was throwing dimes to him. So there's no reason to think, okay, they're not just going to kind of start where they left off and be great. So yeah, he's number 1, and that should probably just stay that way, right? So number 2 is Justin Jefferson, and that's where it gets a little bit more interesting. I am against a lot of the consensus of the national media here, both on Justin Jefferson and J.J. McCarthy, and we'll get to that when we talk about quarterbacks, right? People across the board have J.J. McCarthy as a top 10 fantasy quarterback. I'm not there, and that may be just my thoughts from him from college, and that kind of getting in the way of where I think of him and what I think of him as a QB, especially in his first year. He didn't get any training camp reps last year. And when you're talking about the wide receiver, that's what you're talking about as well. It's dependent upon another person, wide receivers. That's why running backs sometimes can be safer. He is dependent upon J.J. McCarthy getting him the ball. Now, the devil's advocate to that would be, well, Mac, I've seen J.J. McCarthy get the ball with Case Keenum. I've seen him get the ball with Josh Dobbs. I've seen him get the ball with Kirk Cousins. I've seen him get the ball with Jacob Mustard if he was under center, right? You've seen him get the ball with everyone. He is a different level of player. He's historic. He's Hall of Fame level. He's maybe the best wide receiver through the first 4 years of a career ever. They showed a stat. I was watching Texans-Vikings, and they were like, how many of Justin Jefferson's seasons are in the top 7 for wide receiving seasons in Minnesota Vikings history? And I was like, me and my friend were watching, I was like, all 4 of them? It's like him and Randy Moss. And then they showed it was like, yep, he was 1, 3, 4, and 6. And Randy Moss was like 2, 5, and 7. You know what I mean? It was like, whoa. But it's insane. It's 1,400 yards. It's 1,200. So he can do it with everyone. But if that 1,300 yards is now 1,100, and that 10 touchdowns is now 7, it's a big, big difference. You're still a fantastic wide receiver, and he'll still be renowned, and he's the best route runner with the greatest hands. And as far as wide receivers go, his sideline awareness, all the things, right? Fundamentally, he is perfect. But we're talking about fantasy football, and with J.J. McCarthy and him, if those stats go down even 10%, I hesitate to be drafting him or be spending this much money on him. 816, my league does a $200 auction league. Any tips on auction leagues? Yeah, I'll kind of try and keep my advice for both draft and auction leagues. I know auction leagues are increasing as far as just commonplace, right? It's starting to happen more and more. Again, my opinion, auction league's better. I am more of an auction league guy. I think there's more strategy to it. I think it's more fun. I would go on the baseline of Bill Simmons and say, like, call it a nose picker league if you're still doing like a normal snake draft or anything. It's just kind of, it's fine. It's still very fun. I love fantasy football. Whatever way you want to do it is great. But I think you're leaving a lot of meat on the bone, in my opinion. There's a lot of strategy to be had with the auction draft. And if we're wanting to be GMs of a team for fantasy football for a few months and have a good time, then the auction draft is the way to do it most realistically. So 816, I'll be trying to keep my advice to both normal snakes draft leagues and auction style leagues as well. So, but for this instance, Justin Jefferson, if and I can look up his average price too, but if it's $65 and now you're spending $65 on Justin Jefferson and he's going to get 1,100 yards and not 1,300, and he's going to get 80 catches and not 98 catches, that sounds like a $55 player or a $50 player to me, not a $65 player, right? 816, to me, Jamar Chase, that chance is so much less. We're talking about an injury, and I'm not playing that game. He's been a healthy player, and he's has the third or fourth best quarterback on his team, and they're going to have to score points. So Jamar Chase, slam dunk. And I usually don't say that for guys who are number one overall at their position and really number one overall in the league. He's number one overall. Like, you draft him number one. You draft Jamar Chase number one, in my opinion. We'll get to running backs next week. Saquon Barkley, wah, wah, wah. That would be my quick take on that before we get to that more. Let's go through some more of the top 10s here. CeeDee Lamb. Wide receiver 3, and going number like round 6th overall in that range. But yeah, he's the 4th or 5th wide receiver taken. Depending on where you're at, it's kind of between him and Amon-Ra St. Brown as that 4th wide receiver taken. From the 913. It depends on who you are, man. Depends on who you are, 913, for that. I'm not going to say that on the air, but it depends on who you are if you have success doing that during your fantasy football draft. Some, it makes them a little looser, gives them a little more edge. Some, it just could distract you. I would say yes, I've had success. So CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver 3 overall. I was talking about Puka and Amon-Ra between 4 and 5. CeeDee Lamb, 3 overall, 6th player overall, kind of. So still in that first round. Again, I think a lot of people don't agree with that. I've seen a lot of people talk about the Cowboys on Twitter, and they're fun to make fun of. They're fun to go against and say, "Oh, the Cowboys, what are they doing? Jerry Jones, Micah Parsons." And yeah, I get it. They're a laughingstock. They're a joke. They're an embarrassment. But if you're talking about CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott and what they've been able to do together as a team and as a duo, it's one of the best duos in the past 4 years in the NFL. And that's just straight up. It just is. When Dak Prescott is healthy, which has been 2 out of the last 4 years, and CeeDee Lamb is on the field, they are unstoppable together. 1,100, 1,400, 1,700, 1,200 yards. 6, 9, 12, 6 touchdowns. You can guess the years that he was healthy. 2022 and 2023, when he had 14 and almost 1,800 yards, Dak was healthy for the majority of the season with CeeDee Lamb. Now, even in 2022, some of that season was with Cowboys backup quarterback who is named Cooper Rush, who they've had there for a couple years. So even with Cooper Rush, you saw CeeDee Lamb get over 100 receptions for part of the season. He can do it with anyone, and they're going to want to throw the ball to him. Now, George Pickens is there. That will take away some of those reception numbers. But I think the yards and I think the touchdowns are going to uptick. I think this team's going to be good. Not great, but this team's going to compete for the playoffs in the NFC. They're going to win games. That doesn't always matter. But in this case, with Dak specifically and with CeeDee Lamb specifically, I think that does matter, whether they're going to actually be good. And I think this team will actually be solid. I think they will. So I'm in on CeeDee Lamb. Puka Nacua, I'm in on. That's really just a Matthew Stafford conversation. Where are you at Matthew Stafford and his back? Again, you're dependent on this quarterback. If Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback for the season for Puka Nacua, I want no part of that. 816, you want to spend $58 on Puka Nacua to watch Jimmy G throw to him for 16 weeks? I'm out, right? So that's the scare. I may wait for someone, honestly. Now, if we're talking about Davante Adams, who... Let me see really quick. Davante Adams. Let me just look. Adams. He's going 40th. You can get him so you could get him in the 4th round. Yeah, I would take that risk in the 4th round for a guy like Davante Adams, who I think could be near equal with Puka Nacua as far as production this season. Then yeah. From the 913, I think Neighbors will have a better year. Neighbors, yeah, great. Neighbors is a guy you can get later as well. These are guys that you could target. That's not sleeper. Neighbors is actually coming up. He's right after Amon-Ra St. Brown. So Neighbors is 10th. He's right on the edge of 1st or 2nd round. But if you wanted to, see if you could trade down and get Neighbors and someone come up and get a Puka or get a running back, right? If you're wanting to get that wide receiver, though, in that 1st round, trade down. I think Neighbors is going to be awesome. He says Dart will rely on him heavily, and so will Wilson when he inevitably starts. It'll be Russell Wilson. Jackson Dart will not play football for the New York Football Giants this year, and you can book that. And I hope that is the case, too. I think that will be best for Jackson Dart, who I do not believe is an NFL quarterback, but that's a separate discussion. I think it'll be Russell Wilson, and I think it'll be Jameis Winston. That'll be who's throwing the football to Malik Neighbors this year. And Russell Wilson does one thing great still, and it's throw a moon ball down the sideline. And Malik Neighbors can go catch moon balls down the sideline.
And who did Neighbors have as his QB last year? Did Daniel Jones play a little bit, and then it was Tommy DeVito?
It was Drew Lock. Yeah, he was making hay with those guys. So if you hand him Russell Wilson, he's going to look like Peyton Manning compared to some of those guys, right? So, yeah, I agree with you. 913 Malik Neighbors is absolutely a guy to target. As far as guys in those top 10, he's the 6th wide receiver. 7th wide receiver, Nico Collins. Very in on Nico Collins. Extremely in on Nico Collins this year. The injury, their whole team was injured last year, but he was incredible. And he was able to get through that with out some of his weapons. Obviously, Stephon Diggs goes out early on in the season. They lose Tank Dell against the Chiefs later in the season. Nico Collins did not play the whole season either. I'm trying to see how many games he played because I thought it was around a month he missed, but I could be wrong. Yeah, it was. Yeah, look at me. 12 games. So he missed 5 games, a little over a month. And in 12 games, Nico Collins was able to amass 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. The year before, when he was 15 games, only started 10 of those, he amassed 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. I think that's kind of what he is. I think he's a 12 to 1,300 yard guy this year, and I think he's going to be around 8 to 10 touchdowns. I think he's valued exactly where he should be, and I think he's a really safe pick. I honestly think Nico Collins is a safe pick. I know the offensive line issues and stuff with the Houston Texans, and we can get into the nitty-gritty of what's going on there, but I think C.J. Stroud's going to have a comeback year, even with some of those question marks. I'm in on Nico Collins, and I'm in on this next guy. And you mentioned to me off the air, Jacob, he was on your team last year, the 8th wide receiver overall in Jacksonville, Brian Thomas Jr. This guy's a beast. This guy's a monster. We will be talking about Brian Thomas Jr. in top 15 wide receiver conversations. If we're not already, we're going to be by week 4 or week 5 of the NFL season. And a lot of you, hey, Mac, didn't you say wide receivers are dependent on quarterbacks? Yeah. I like Trevor Lawrence. He's thrown for 4,000 yards twice. And I don't think he's a bad quarterback. He went toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead. I was there. This guy is not done. He's had 3 different coaches, 4 different OCs. Like, let's take a breath. We used to give guys a little bit more time. And I know it's year 5. Yeah, that's okay. Well, now let's go.
Isn't year 5 just the end of the rookie?
It's the end of the rookie contract, man. And again, he went to the playoffs once. He's had 2 4,000-yard passing seasons. He had the worst head football coach the NFL has ever seen, and that's not hyperbolic. If you want to find one from 1960, go ahead, fine. In the modern era, in the last 50 years, Urban Meyer is the worst football coach we've ever seen. That's how Trevor Lawrence started off his career, okay? I'm still in on Trevor Lawrence, and I'm extremely in on Brian Thomas Jr., less in on Travis Hunter. I do have a take on Fesco and Dusty. I think he's going to be the biggest bust ever. Travis Hunter, that was one of my takes, biggest bust ever. That doesn't mean I don't think he can be serviceable in fantasy football as a wide receiver 2 or a flex option, right? We can delineate a little bit between those two statements, a little bit, right? Both can be true at the same time. A.J. Brown and Drake London round off the top 10. Both guys I like as well. A.J. Brown, I would, if you're telling me to choose, I'd choose Drake London. I think they're going to pass the ball more, and I like Michael Penix. A.J. Brown to me is just in an offense that does not pass the ball a lot. Now, if you're telling me statistically, running backs who run as much as Saquon Barkley did last year are going to get hurt this year, and that means they're going to pass the ball. Again, I don't want to bank on any of that. That's why I'm not picking Saquon Barkley, though. So if you're going to tell me they're going to pass the ball more, then maybe A.J. Brown will get it. I don't love Jalen Hurts either. He's a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's bad. Just as far as a passer, in a pass-first offense, Jalen Hurts has not done that. And he's certainly not done it well. He has not shown me he's capable to do that. So for A.J. Brown to have him for a whole year, I'd rather have Drake London. I think Drake London's fantastic. Sleepers, let's get into some of these. 913-586-7965. Make sure to be a part of the show. We are live on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You're listening to Fantasy Football Sunday right here on 96.5 The Fan. I'm going to come back. We're going to do some sleepers, and then we're going to do a quick Jacob's going to run a quick mock draft, and we're going to run through some mock draft questions, and we're also going to run through your questions. Again, on the text line, 913-586-7965. Fantasy Football Sunday is brought to you by Twin Peaks Eats, Drinks, and Scenic Views. Stay locked into the home of the Kansas City Chiefs.
You're listening to Fantasy Football Sunday with Mac Morey, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on 96.5 The Fan, your new home for Chiefs football.
FanDuel, because nothing says summer fun quite like adding excitement to the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. Summer sports are calling your name. That means baseball under the stadium lights, golf on pristine green fairways, soccer matches between world-class goals, and all the action-packed moments that happen in between. You're going to spend all day following your favorite sports on your phone anyway, so you might as well make them more thrilling, more exciting with FanDuel. Open up the app today to see the daily promotions. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/KFNZ. Use my promo code to get everything started. FanDuel is an official partner of 96.5 The Fan. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issues. Now will draw a bonus bet which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under agreement with Kansas Casino LLC. Gambling problem. Get out with your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit kansasgamblinghelp.com.
In sitcoms, when someone has a problem, they just blurt it out and move on.
Well, I lost my job and my parakeet is missing. How was your day?
But the real world is different. Managing life's challenges can be overwhelming. So, what do? We get support. The Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council have mental health resources available for you at loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. See how much further you can go when you take care of your mental health.
Here's comedian Howie Mandel for hands-free Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins.
I'm holding a new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-in sneaker, and first of all, I barely know I'm holding it. It's that light. You see, Cozy Fit is a cool new sneaker where the upper is made of a soft quilted material. It's kind of like a little puffer jacket for your feet, except it looks like a super stylish sneaker.
Introducing new Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins, the latest comfort creation from Skechers. You can find Cozy Fit Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Allstate's new home insurance is now better than ever. We're making getting the right home insurance that's right for you super easy with our improved online quoting tool. It explains how each coverage option works for you without the headache. Yep, you can start protecting your home in a matter of minutes. So check Allstate first for home insurance that's better than ever. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Coverage subject to terms, qualifications, and availability. Allstate North American Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter?
Right? And the best part? They accept Discover.
Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025 Nielsen report.
I like this guy's thinking from the 816, hoping to get Garrett Wilson as my sleeper this year. Man, he's a coma sleeper. Yeah, no one ever heard of Garrett Wilson, but his stock has dropped. You might be able to get him lower than you would have gotten him in the past. That is fair thinking. This is Fantasy Football Sunday on 96.5 The Fan, your home for the Kansas City Chiefs, who played a football game yesterday, their first preseason game against the Arizona Cardinals, which you could have heard right here. The only place to hear it was right here, 96.5 The Fan. Saw Mahomes threw 2 passes, completed 1 for 1 yard for a touchdown. Jacob Brownlee, sick catch. Long arms. Big guy, too. 6'2". I'll tell you something about Jacob Brownlee. Went to East Mississippi Community College, won a national championship, had a great sophomore season at East Mississippi. Then he went to Southern Miss, and he was great there. So Jacob Brownlee, a little bio on him. We're talking wide receivers, their ADP. We're going through the top 10. Please be a part of the conversation, 913-586-7965. We are live on YouTube and Twitter as well. So please be a part of it. Would love to answer any and all of your questions. We went through the top 10, kind of gave you my thoughts on their top 10 wide receivers. Now we're going through some of the sleeper options. First off, we'll start with some sleepers. And Jacob, if we want to have some NFL music under this, we can. If not, no worries. Let's see, 816. Hunter will be a better defender than wide receiver, in my opinion. I think the archetype, I don't know, man. He's so small. Like imagine Travis Hunter, and Derrick Henry in the open field, in Travis Hunter's tag. I don't know. We'll see. I think he's going to play more offense. We'll talk about him as well. I mean, we can talk about it right now. Travis Hunter's fine. I think he's going to be a wide receiver. I think he's going to be a flex option this year. I think he'll play a decent amount of the snaps, but I don't want to mess with a guy who's going to be playing on defense. Personally, I'm going to have to see it to believe it kind of thing. So I'm not going for Travis Hunter right away. 913, is Brownlee the top-rated camp darling right now? He might be, man. He's making a name for himself right now. Seriously. 913, I'm in a dynasty league. How are you ranking the rookie wide receivers? I like Ted McMillan, but seeing good things out of Emeka Egbuka. I have both of them on my sleeper list here, man. I like both those guys. Wow, look at Mustard. Jeez, what a pro. A beast right there. Running the whole show back there is Jacob Mustard. Mac Morey with you for the next 15 minutes. Get your texts in, 913-586-7965. Going through some sleepers. Calvin Ridley. He's really 28 years old if you think about this, okay? He looked great last year. He just wasn't getting the ball for obvious reasons, right? I think he's a dog, and I love Cam Ward. I love everything I've heard of Cam Ward. I loved everything I've seen out of Cam Ward, even yesterday. Cam Ward, a couple decent drives. I think he was on the field for 3 drives, and he was great. He was great. He scored a touchdown on that 3rd drive, but everything he said has been about Calvin Ridley. It's been about getting the ball to Calvin Ridley constantly, getting him receptions, how great of a wide receiver he is, how talented he is. He loves him. He talks about him nonstop. He's going to get the ball. He's a big reception guy for PPR as well, I think. Half PPR, I think he would do well as well. So Calvin Ridley is a guy who, I mean, I didn't have his ADP here. Ridley. You can get him overall in the draft. You can get him 70th. He's like the 30th or 31st wide receiver taken. But you can get him in the 7th round. Calvin Ridley. As a guy who I think just could have over 1,000 yards this season easily. He's going to get the ball. He's going to get 6 receptions a game. I think he's going to be one of those guys. Jacoby Myers, overall ADP of 40th wide receiver taken, or an overall around 89th overall in draft. So he's 8th or 9th round. So you can snag him a little bit after even Calvin Ridley. And another guy, he had 1,000 yards last year on the Raiders with Desmond Ridder and Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell, right? He's going to be the number 2 receiving target in this offense. He'll be the number 3 option in the offense because it'll be Bowers and Genty, and then it'll be Jacoby Myers. But as far as catching passes, it'll be him and Brock Bowers. We can talk about Dante Thornton and Trey Tucker, who are 2 young guys in the Raiders that are making some waves over in Vegas and over in the nerd lands of fantasy football. But Jacoby Myers could legit have 1,000 yards again this year. If he stays healthy, I think he will. He's just also a good player, right? We want to draft good players. That's Jacoby Myers, a good player. Wanted him here in Kansas City for a little bit. So yeah, Ted McMillan, 5th round pick. This guy's the number 1 wide receiver. And as far as I'm concerned, Bryce Young's the real deal. I'm really, really excited about Ted McMillan and what he's able to do. Lost the music there. Okay, Ted McMillan, yeah, he's been fantastic. He's just a guy. He had a great catch yesterday, one-handed snag on the sideline. Bryce Young looked great yesterday. Emeka Egbuka, 116th overall. That would be my next. We had a text about him. I don't need to get out, do I? That's not okay. Good. I was just making sure. Sorry, man, my fault.
No, it says it's a new theme.
Oh, this is a new theme. A new football theme? Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Sorry to throw you a curveball.
No, it's fine. I just was, no, it's my fault. That's my bad. I got to stay locked in. That's all on me. Emeka Egbuka, you talked about him off the air with me too, Jacob. You like him, man. I mean, he's like Chris Godwin 2.0. He's in an offense that they're going to pass the ball a lot. He's going to get the ball. I think Emeka Egbuka is a rookie that you can target late in drafts. Keenan Allen, he's going really late, man. He's 170. He's going so late in drafts. You can almost like not draft him in some drafts depending on what sort of league you're in. He's just a guy who could easily get 800 yards this year, and he's going to be great on third downs. He's going to be good in the red zone. He's played with the Chargers. He's played with Justin Herbert. He knows what Herbert likes. He's going to be in the right spot at the right time. He could get some good reception games as well. He's not going to be the Keenan Allen of old, but with how late he's going, I don't hate that as a sleeper. Stephon Diggs, going around 89th as far as wide receivers. Or as far as overall, he's the 39th wide receiver taken, 87th overall. I really like Stephon Diggs as an option too. Drake May's one of my darlings this year. I've got him in Dynasty as well. I think Drake May is going to be a killer, and I think he's going to look to Stephon Diggs quite a bit. His number one option. Besides Stephon Diggs on that team to throw to, who else are we talking about? Keyshawn Booty? Who is Booty?
You got Hunter Henry.
Yes.
You got Demario Douglas. In the slot. They're hyping up Keyshawn Booty. Efton Chisholm, if you know that.
I
name.
have heard about
And then,
Chisholm.
The rookie wide receiver they're throwing to. It slips my mind right now.
Let's see.
Kyle Williams.
Oh, yeah. Kyle Williams. Yep. Good call. Yeah. So I'm not personally not drafting Stephon Diggs because of undrafted free agent Efton Chisholm, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm excited about this. This could be fun. Like, in week 10 on the waiver wire, I could be telling you, hey, guys, Efton Chisholm, pick him up. He's going to have 5 catches and a touchdown today. I'm telling you, right? To me, Stephon Diggs, again, 1,000-yard wide receiver if healthy. I think he will be healthy. I think he cares about football and being a good player more than people give him credit for. I know the whole Cardi B, the boat situation, BBL, stinky. I know about all that this year. But I like Stephon Diggs. Let me sell you on a guy in the AFC West, and no, he's not on the Chiefs, but we can talk about the Chiefs wide receivers as well, which I will right after this. Keandre Lambert-Smith. He went in the 5th round of the 2025 NFL Draft to the Los Angeles Chargers. Okay? He played football at Penn State, and then he went to Auburn, and he was great at both. He's like 6'1", 6'2", long guy, kind of an ex-wide receiver. He's kind of who they wanted Quentin Johnston to be a couple years ago at TCU in the 1st round. Keandre Lambert-Smith, I think, will be that for the Chargers. Keandre Lambert-Smith, I don't even know. Dude, he's not even like being drafted. Like, you could get Keandre Lambert-Smith in your last pick before a kicker.
When I saw that name on your show notes there, I was like, who?
Yeah. Who's this guy? Yeah, right. Yeah, this is the Efton Chisholm for the Chargers, right? Except he was drafted. He was on 2 big-name schools and produced in the Big Ten and the SEC. This is a guy where it's like, okay, wait, he played against NFL competition. He was drafted late because he's 22 years old, but he had really good seasons. He's 6'1". He's got an NFL body. He's got video in camp that looks really good with Justin Herbert, a guy who is going to sling in the ball and is looking for a longer, bigger target down the field because Quentin Johnston ain't in. He's got Ladd McConkey. To have that guy who can go up and get up a contested catch. Keandre Lambert-Smith, man, a guy like that, to me, who's going 395 overall in drafts. He's the 121st wide receiver taken. So, yeah, you're not even he's near guys like McCole Hardman is going ahead of him. You know what I'm saying? Kadarius Toney is going ahead of him, right? Mac Hollins is going ahead of him. Amari Cooper is not on a football team right now. He's going ahead of Keandre Lambert-Smith, right? Like, I think Keandre Lambert-Smith is just a bang for your buck sort of thing. And then Deontay Thornton on the Raiders, another guy, a big-bodied guy who could play wide receiver a lot for them. And Geno Smith, pull out this nerd stat for you real quick before we get to a quick mock draft. Let's see, with Dante Thornton, 6'5", he ran a 4.3 40. He joins only Calvin Johnson and DK Metcalf to be 6'4" plus and run a 4.35 or faster. Running with the ones and catching bombs daily in camp, Geno Smith has been QB3, QB9, and QB5 in deep ball completion the past 3 seasons. The upside with a guy like that is, it's like win your league type upside, right? If he becomes the deep ball guy for Geno Smith, a guy who is like a top 10 deep ball thrower in the league the past 3 seasons, and the deep ball could be open for them. If the run game and the underneath the Bowers is working, a guy like Deontay Thornton could be there as well. Some Chiefs wide receivers like Xavier Worthy. Listen, I that's one of the few Chiefs that I would be excited about getting on my team, right? Xavier Worthy, 24th wide receiver taken, going like 56 in the draft, so you can get him like middle of the 5th round. To me, Xavier Worthy's going to have 1,000 yards this year. I think him and Rashee Rice both will be near 1,000 yards. Rashee Rice, I think he'll get it even with the suspension. And Xavier Worthy will be right around 1,000 yards. I think he'll have at least 6 touchdowns. I think that's the low end. I hope it's 10, and I hope 2 of them are like rushing. I hope he's got some good jet sweeps. Rashee Rice is another guy who obviously I would target, but it just depends on the way your team's structured. You need to know, like, he's going still earlier than Xavier Worthy. Now, the suspension has not been put down. Right now, Rashee Rice is at 49th overall. I don't know if that's going to be the case once the suspension comes through. If and when the suspension comes through, really when, right? That draft stock will go down. He's 49th right now. We'll see if that stays where that is. 49th overall, 22nd wide receiver taken. Now, if that drops to 40th wide receiver taken and he's in the 8th round all of a sudden, like, you can structure your draft to where you've got some guys who you can really feel good about and start, and then have Rashee Rice come in. And that sounds so good, and it is. That's tasty. As a fantasy football manager, you're like, dude, I'm going to win these. I'm going to go 3-1, and then Rashee Rice is going to start for me. Whew. The scare with that, though, is the first 4 weeks in fantasy football are the most important weeks. This is the most important weeks. I will emphasize that again. The first 4 weeks in your fantasy football season are the most important. Why? Why, Mac? Why is that? Everyone's healthy. Everyone's playing. Besides the suspended guys, everyone's healthy. Everyone's playing. If you do not win those games, your team will start to get hurt. Inevitably, injuries will happen, right? Those first 4 weeks are extremely imperative to your season. We've got like 2 minutes. What's this mock draft looking like, Jacob? Do you have it in front of you?
Yes, I do. I'm debating, just kind of doing the first couple rounds. Started off at the 4th pick.
And this is a basic league, half PPR, basic league, right? Yeah, basic league, half PPR. This is just him doing a mock draft, so everything's normal.
Yeah, half PPR, grabbed Jahmyr Gibbs and Ladd McConkey in the first 2 rounds.
Nice.
Ended up in half PPR. I like going quarterback just because you're losing so many points to the receptions, and quarterback almost guarantees you points, so Lamar fell to me right there. And like you said, wide receiver heavy. Ended up taking a flyer on Marvin Harrison Jr.
Love it. We didn't talk about him today.
As my second wide receiver.
I like him. I'm in on him. We had a text about him earlier, and I'm still in on him.
Keep going. I'm kind of a little bit of a homer, so for my RB2, take Travion Henderson, who looked electric in the preseason.
Yes. What round did you say?
That was sorry, let me pull it up.
Fine.
That was 504.
Nice. We will talk about him in the running back episode next week. Henderson is my guy. If you're in a dynasty league, target him high too.
And then rounded off so far with Xavier Worthy and Calvin Ridley through the first couple rounds.
Let's go. Worthy and Ridley back-to-back is great. That's a good draft there from Mustard. We'll be doing that with Jacob every week. I'm going to give him more time next week. I just got kind of carried away with the wide receivers and sleepers. I'll be a little bit more succinct next time. But what a great first episode. We're back. Fantasy Football Sundays. We will be back next Sunday and the Sunday after that before Labor Day weekend. And then the season starts, and I'm with you every Sunday, helping you out on the waiver wire, helping you out with who to pick up, and trying to win you your league. Fantasy Football Sunday brought to you by Twin Peaks Eats, Drinks, and, of course, Scenic Views. Stay locked in. The whole show will be podcasted and will be live on YouTube and Twitter this season every Sunday from 9 to 10. That's Jacob Mustard. I'm Mac Morey. Thank you so much for joining us. You've been listening to the Fantasy Football Sunday Show with Mac Morey. This is 96.5 The Fan, your home for Kansas City sports.
You're listening to Fantasy Football Sunday with Mac Morey, brought to you by Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views on 96.5 The Fan, your new home for Chiefs football.
This summer, Casey's has 89-cent fountain and frozen drinks. But if you don't have 89 cents, you could check your center console, or dig between your couch cushions, or ask Grandma for $1, or just use your credit card. We take those too. 89-cent frozen and fountain drinks at Casey's, all summer long. Restrictions may apply. See store for details.
The word father means a lot to me. Being that support system for them, and as a man, that's important in a child's life. I think men can be a little stubborn sometimes where they may want the help, they may not know how to ask. It's hard for a man to speak his emotions. Those tears, they mean something. You know, wrap away. Tears are water, and water is life. And when you shed those tears, that's love. That's real love. Sometimes as dads, I think we're too hard on ourselves. Life can come at you really quick, and it can be really tough at times. But then you put that one foot in front of the other, and you keep doing the right thing. Slowly that voice goes away, you know. Wrap away, you gotta pray for yourself, as well as for everybody else, but never forget yourself.
Never stop being a dad. That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail, and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty, and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The opportunity to work for a better life? It's an American dream we all deserve. But 50%